Chicos, chicas, ¿cómo están? ¿Qué os cuenta la vida? Aquí Vampire con un nuevo video para el canal. Esta vez estamos otra vez en Genshin Impact. Recuerda, en el episodio anterior, por fin hemos logrado la tan ansiada, bueno, todavía no la libertad de esa de viajar por acá en Inazuma. Hemos conocido un poco más del backstory de esta ciudad, de cómo es que está gobernada por Shogun Raiden todo este tiempo y se ha hecho un Maruro 4.7. Y también hemos conocido, entre comillas, a lo que es la princesa Garza, Ayato. Que no, Ayaka, se llama Ayaka, el macho es Ayato. La cosa es que esta vez vamos a continuar con la misión principal. Ayaka nos ha mandado a que nosotros ayudemos a 3 personas, en específico un antiguo profesor, un antiguo guardia que era parte del aro de los malos y probablemente lo que era el amigo de Kazuha, o lo que queda de él. Yo creo que esos 3 tipos están muertos, los voy a llamar los 3 ahorcados porque referencias. Y bueno, primero vamos a dirigirnos a la aldea Konda para así comenzar con todo esto. Tenemos que primero encargarnos, creo que del profesor que ha estado defendiendo una aldea. Algo así creo que era la vaina. A ver, veamos. Dígate a la aldea Konda para saber qué está pasando.
Let's see. Where's the person Ayaka told us about?
Why are you doing this? Why leave all of a sudden, after all these years?
Precisely. It's much too sudden. We've had no time to prepare.
Falleció el tipo, ¿no?
The children are desperate for you to take them out to play. Please, we urge you to reconsider.
That must be the guy Ayaka told
Ah, sigue
us
vivo.
about.
Yo pensé que los 3 estaban muertos. Sería un poquito más interesante si es que los panas hubieran muerto, porque al fin y al cabo creo que por lo que ha descrito Ayaka son precursores de la revolución que se está librando acá en Inazuma. A ver, preguntemos a Mahiru.
You must also be here to try and convince Tejima to stay.
Tejima. Debe tener un significado ese nombre. ¿Qué ocurrió?
Tejima has protected this place ever since he arrived here 30 years ago.
No es de acá. Vale.
Keeping out the treasure hoarders, fending off any monsters that draw near, resolving quarrels between the villagers. He has put an enormous amount of work into looking after this place, and we all think the world of him.
Es como su guachimán, ¿verdad? Guachimán le decimos acá a la gente que hace de policía y cuida todo el parque.
But now, all of a sudden, he says he plans to leave us. We can't help but wonder.
Tal
Was it
vez,
something we did?
tal vez piense de que su presencia puede poner en peligro a toda la comunidad y por eso quiere marcharse.
We will gladly apologize if that's the case. All we want is for him to stay.
Es algo que ustedes no pueden disculparse, de seguro. Es algo ya de por sí propio de Tejima. Ok, veamos qué nos dice el anciano. ¿Por qué cambió de parecer?
If you want my opinion, something to do with the Vision Hunt decree. It's clear that Tejima had done nothing wrong, and still they confiscated his vision. After that, he became a completely different person.
O sea, te dejaron vivir. Yo pensé que directamente tenías una visión cuello, pero no pensé que te dejaban vivir. De seguro hay destinos peores que la muerte.
I can't claim to fully understand it, but I could tell that he'd lost something very important to him. He went off on a walk, alone, circled the village a few times, and then out of the blue, he announced that he was going to leave and become a wanderer.
O sea, lo que le pasó fue reciente. Claro, como a mí me pasó una vez cuando terminé con mi primera ex. Mano, no tienes por qué hacerlo. Yo pasé por eso, ¿ok? Estamos en las mismas.
Truth be told, we aren't sure whether trying to keep him here is the right thing to do. But equally, it doesn't feel right to let him leave when he's in this state. He's a lost soul.
Haces bien en pensar de esa manera, señor Kenjiro. Pero el problema es que tal vez es que este pana necesite también largarse a otro lugar. Como a mí me pasó. En mi momento.
He's a well-respected guy around here.
Y sí que lo respetan. Vale, entonces solamente queda una cosa por hacer. Cuestionar a Tejima sus motivos de por qué se quiere largar de acá.
You must be Tejima. So what's made you want to up and leave all of a sudden?
Me? It's not a question of why I want to leave, but a question of what reason I would have to stay.
Has vivido aquí durante mucho tiempo.
True, but that's not why I chose to stay here.
¿Por qué te quedaste? Para proteger a toda la gente, a ser de héroe.
And what made me want to come here 30 years ago? And why have I never wanted to leave in all that time?
Rosy, no es el momento para que estés interrumpiendo cosas filosóficas. El perro se puso a ladrar otra vez.
I don't have answers to those questions because I can't remember anymore. Ever since they took my vision away, it's like a slice of my memory is gone.
Sí, te entiendo. Es como si hubieras invertido un montón de tiempo en cierta persona y esa persona decida dejarte por X motivos, que yo los entiendo, no tengo ningún tipo de rencor, pero igual, la cosa es que duele, en especial cuando es la primera vez.
In the past, I knew I wanted
Aparte que tú
to
pierdes
stay
tu
here.
visión por una vez y esa es la única
But
vez que la vas a
whatever
perder,
resolve
nunca la
I
vas a
had
recuperar.
then, it's gone now. So I thought, what's to stop me from moving around instead? The emptiness inside me will be there either way.
No necesariamente el vacío se puede llenar de cualquier otra manera, ya sea con otra persona, con otro hobby o con, qué sé yo. Hay distintas maneras de vivir con ese vacío. No necesariamente tiene que ser un vacío así de vacío, sino un vacío lleno. Vaso lleno, vaso vacío. Es el mismo concepto.
Okay. Well, in that case, if we help you rediscover the reason you chose to stay, you won't need to leave anymore, right? But if you can't remember anything, it's not gonna be easy.
Aguanta, entonces las visiones estarían conectadas también a los recuerdos. Si pierdes una visión, pierdes cualquier cosa que hayas hecho durante tu visión.
Oh, maybe if you
What?
just try a little harder to remember, then it'll all come flooding back.
Oh, that reminds me. Last time I brought Tejima some fruit, I do believe I saw him writing in a diary.
¿Eso fue antes o después de que le quitaran la visión?
I keep a diary? If you say so. I honestly can't seem to remember.
Puta madre, perder tu visión equivale a perder parte de tu vida de manera literal. Te da Alzheimer selectivo, el perro está ladrando, eso no me puedo olvidar.
Oh, yes, yes, you do. And what's more, I remember you saying at the time that you wanted to make a note of a few interesting things. Things which would prove very important at a later date.
Su yo con visión sentía de que estaba a punto de perder su visión. Puta madre, esto está recontra cabrón. Diría una anécdota de mi familia, pero no lo voy a decir porque es recontra tétrica.
Perfect! So if we want to keep Tejima from leaving, we just need to find his diary. It must be around here somewhere. Let's take a look.
If you don't mind, we will leave you to find the diary. We should head back to the village to inform the others of Tejima's situation.
Ok. Weón, este pana sabía lo que le iba a pasar y ha hecho un plan de resguardo. Tamare, vaya. Tengo que seguir la pista de recuerdos del señor. A ver, acá hay calabanda y hay un diario. Yo quería la calabanda, pero no importa.
Like Tejima's diary, all right? Let's see what we have here.
A ver, vamos a chimear.
Today, the villagers and I got together to cook dry braised salted fish. I messed up and burned mine a little, so I had to pretend that it was black snakehead instead. Today, I helped rescue a kid who had fallen in the water. After I pulled him out, he told me that his best friend Bamboo was still in the water. I searched the water the whole afternoon before finding out that Bamboo was the name of his pet crab.
Creo que los cangrejos estarían bastante bien si lo metes en agua. Especial se está hirviendo.
I went kite flying today. The
¿Tienen
string broke,
pescados
so I
de
chased after it
banderas?
as fast
Lol.
as I could. I soon realized I was never going to get it back, so I just found somewhere to sit and watch as it flew away into the distance.
Parece la bandera de Rusia, pero la parte de arriba es negra en vez de blanca.
Seems like your average diary of daily village life.
Busca las primeras páginas, de seguro allí estará alguna información importante.
Huh? Wait, there's more! I went to pray at the shrine again today and stayed there a while. The omamori you gave me has faded a little, but it is still my most treasured possession.
Omamori. ¿Qué mierda es un omamori?
Now that's the kind of info we're looking for. Time to pay a visit to the shrine.
Ah, chuta, puta, huevón, me había olvidado, ya recordé. Un omamori es como una especie de recuerdito que usualmente se colocan acá en los altares cuando los japoneses rezaban a otros dioses. De hecho, la cultura japonesa actualmente es monoteísta, politeísta o qué chucha. Bueno, tampoco es que me interese. Examinar marcas.
So this is the Omamori Tejima wrote about. Interesting. Looking at the color and the design, Paimon would have thought it belonged to a child.
Ya, de seguro Tejima era padre y mataron a su hija acá cuando le quitaron la visión. Pero él, como le quitaron la visión, él no recuerda de que han matado a su hija o algo así. No, estoy tratando de organizar mis ideas, ¿ok?
But anyway, if he had this with him all the time, there's a chance some of his elemental energy remained on it. Do you think that it might come in handy?
Tal vez. Usa tu visión elemental para buscar las pistas del diario. Hay una fuente eléctrica. Este pana era electro. O sea, la reina le ha dado el poder. Y por ende, entre comillas, tenía el derecho de quitárselo. A ver, pasamos por acá. Las marcas van acá. A esta suerte de casita. Que es muy pequeña. Parece una tumba. Bueno, tampoco tanto. Debe ser su casa. Esos son muñequitos. Acá hay unas rocas. Está enterrado alguien acá. Es una tumba improvisada.
Here we are. This seems to be somewhere that Tejima visited a lot.
Debe ser la tumba de su cría.
The soil looks like it's been disturbed. Maybe Tejima buried something precious here. Something that kept him in the village all these years?
Vamos a hacer como los arqueólogos en el Egipto que desentierra tumbas así porque sí.
Must be something pretty amazing if it made him stick around for 30 years. Let's dig it up and take a look.
Yo no daría a Paimon a menos de que tuviera unos guantes y una especie de casquito especial que tienen los arqueólogos egipcios.
It looks like a letter. The paper's gone yellow.
Gracias a Dios esto no se ha vuelto más seinen de lo que ya de por sí se estaba volviendo.
Village. Sounds so familiar. Where is that place again?
Si llegáramos separados en esta guerra, espérame en la aldea Konda. Será un lugar seguro para los dos. Su flaca. Es aquí.
So the reason Tejima came here was to wait for someone.
Alguien que nunca llegó. Tengo dos teorías. O es su flaca, o es el pana de Karehara. No discrimino.
But he's been here for 30 years. Oh, guess they didn't show up in the end, huh?
Lo mataron. Eso fue lo que sucedió.
Well, let's go give Tejima his stuff back and take it from there.
Vaya historia más sad. Pasamos de que probablemente mataron a su hija mientras estaba defendiéndola de los cazadores de visiones a prácticamente una historia triste de amor y desesperanza y de una persona que nunca llegó cuando tuvo que haber llegado. ¿Dónde chuchas estás, Tejima? Necesitamos hablar contigo. Estamos apoyándote en esta situación difícil. Tamare. Ahora sí. A ver, Tejima, hablemos.
Well, I'll be. That's certainly my handwriting. And I guess the Omamorian letter belonged to me too. But I have no memory of anything that's written in this diary. Still, it's clear that I was waiting for someone here, and that I chose to wait for 30 years. Over the years, I must have made a note of anything interesting. Anything that I could share with her
Es
when
su
we were
flaca.
finally
Su
reunited.
flaca era la que estaba esperando. Ambos de seguro eran peleadores, algo así, mercenarios. Y ocurrió una guerra, se separaron y dijeron reunamos acá. Y de seguro ella no logró sobrevivir el trayecto. La han atrapado y bueno, ya saben lo que sucede en las guerras, así que F.
And just look at all the things that did happen over the years. The time has flown by so quickly. 30 years feels like the blink of an eye. How could I have forgotten something so important to me?
Te quitaron la visión, eso fue lo que sucedió.
Now that I think about it, when my vision was taken from me, it felt like I'd suddenly been hollowed out.
Eso fue exactamente lo que sucedió.
Love, regret, everything I felt for her, it's all disappeared.
¿Te sientes triste? ¿Nostálgico?
No, not especially. After all, I've forgotten who she was. Her face, her voice, the things we experienced together. I barely recall any of it.
Pierdes tu visión, pierdes tu vida.
It's as if she'd never been in my life to begin with. As if all these years have been nothing but a hazy dream.
Entonces, ¿todavía planeas irte? Yo creo que es lo mejor que podrías hacer.
I think maybe not. If this is something I waited most of my life for, I suppose I should carry on waiting.
Son tus decisiones, yo las respeto.
Although, what if she were to turn up eventually, only to find I didn't remember so much as her name? Wouldn't that be upsetting for her?
Bueno, por lo que escucho, tú la has conocido mientras tenías tu visión, así que a menos de que no la recuperes, estás cagado.
When I think about it like that, I do feel a slight tinge of sadness in my heart. How curious. Why am I thinking like this when I don't even remember who she is? It's just like that feeling of emptiness, the feeling that something is missing. Thank you both for helping me reconnect with my reason for staying here. I shall remain here and keep waiting for her.
Tejima seems to be dealing okay, but still, it makes Paimon really sad.
Hay destinos peores que la muerte. Y de esa misma manera, quizás lo más triste de todo es perder una razón para estar triste. Perder una visión te da depresión. La puta madre.
Seems it's just like Ayaka and Tomo were saying. If you lose your vision, you lose all your hopes and dreams too. That certainly explains the state Tejima was in earlier.
Eso quiere decir que los otros dos conjuros también están en la misma situación.
At least we were able to help him, weren't we? Well, let's go find the next person.
Sí, la siguiente era un guardia que pertenecía a la comisión.
Kamisato, the second one who lost their vision is a samurai from the Tenryou Commission.
Sí, justamente eso iba a decir. Pero pucha, weón, qué tétrico que el pana haya tenido un diario escribiendo cosas como si supiera que en algún momento iba a perder toda esa memoria. Vale, sin necesidad de usar teletransporte, hemos llegado al lugar donde en teoría debería que estar la siguiente persona que ha perdido su visión, que es un guardia de la comisión que quitaba visiones. Cosa que es un poquito irónico ahora que lo pienso. ¿Estará en la misma situación el conche su madre?
They say the Tenryou Commission is directly controlled by the Shogun. They're the ones responsible for maintaining law and order in Inazuma. The ones actually enforcing the Vision Hunt Decree.
Sí.
But why would they take action against one of their own?
Eso, o tal vez haya sido regalado una visión de otro dios y él se haya decidido entregarse de manera voluntaria para así hacer cumplir la ley, a pesar de que la ley vaya en contra de su propio bienestar. Eso puede ser lo que sucede.
Paimon doesn't get it. Huh? There seems to be some commotion over there. Let's go see what's happening.
I'll ask one more time. Do you intend to withhold this month's emergency provisions?
The entire clan is counting on that food. We demand an explanation. How many times do I have to say it? I don't know anything about emergency provisions.
You dare deceive us? Those provisions are essential. Do you understand? Not some goods to be pocketed by greedy samurai.
You samurai think you can just do whatever you please? The Tenryou Commission will hear of this!
Provisiones de emergencia, algo así como comida, algo, no sé, lo que mandan a África a todos los europeos cada año.
Oh, huh? And who are you? One of Kurosawa's gang, no doubt.
Recién acabo de llegar, estoy haciendo preguntas para elegir qué bando escoger, ¿ok?
What? We just happened to be passing by. We heard the commotion and came to see what the matter was.
I see. You seem to have come just at the right time. Perhaps you can help us settle this matter. This is Kurosawa. He's a samurai and a member of the Shogun's army. They issue emergency provisions to the area, and he's the one responsible for distribution. In the past, we'd simply ask him for provisions and everything would be delivered. Now, he suddenly refuses to give us anything. He's keeping the provisions for himself, I just know it. We'll starve without them.
No one seems to care about us. We used to think Kurosawa was a kind man, but he's shown his true colors. He's the same as all the other samurai. It's no wonder all the visions have been confiscated. The Raiden Shogun doesn't need people like him helping her rule the nation.
De hecho, Yuya, él ha mostrado sus verdaderos colores porque antes tenía una visión. La visión era como su máscara de seducción. Y al momento de quitársela, ahí es cuando ustedes ven que en realidad las visiones son buenas porque hacen a la gente más noble, por lo que parece.
This must be one of the people Ayaka asked us to help. But why would she ever want us to help someone like him?
Ya lo dije, ha perdido su máscara, ha perdido su razón de ser. Ahora es un tipo amargado como todos. Un momento.
Maybe we should talk to Kurosawa and see what he has to say.
A ver, recapitulemos. El pan anterior era una persona que tenía esperanza de encontrarse con esa persona, pero cuando perdió su visión le dio depresión. Y este pana, a lo que dice estas personas, antes era una persona noble, amable, pero cuando perdió la visión se ha vuelto una persona amargada.
I've never even heard of these emergency provisions. I don't know whether it's rumors or whether they're trying to blackmail me. But either way, it's ridiculous. If I was hoarding supplies, would I still be the poor man I am today?
Estás preocupado.
My own family can barely get by as it is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got other matters to attend to.
Escuchamos que recientemente perdiste tu visión. O lo has entregado voluntariamente.
That's the first bit of truth I've heard all day. The Shogun's army told me that I was unworthy of my vision. And they said I was slacking off in my work. Apparently, I'd even disappointed the Raiden Shogun. And that's why they confiscated my vision.
O sea, a ver. A pesar de ser parte de los guardias, tenías una visión. Te han dejado mantenerla por XY motivos. Pero como vieron de que estabas holgazaneando y siendo un bueno para nada, te la quitaron. Ok. Pero significa que los guardias samuráis esos son los únicos autorizados para tener visión. Eso no contrarrestaría el objetivo de la Shogun Raiden de que, no lo sé, la tipa tiene miedo de que le maten porque alguien tenga una misión. I don't know.
Well, that's strange. You were helping enforce the Vision Hunt Decree. Why would you be unworthy of your vision?
No lo recuerda. Es inútil preguntar eso, no lo recuerda.
To be perfectly honest, I don't seem to remember the details.
Pierdes tu visión, pierdes tu vida con la visión.
All I know is that I would perform certain things every month. But I don't recall what they were. And it's not just that. I have this unsettling feeling, like someone owes me something.
Does it have to do with the missing emergency provisions?
Te has olvidado de hacer el encargo. Vale.
I didn't take any. Like I said, if I was taking them for myself, I wouldn't be going through such hard times right now.
Te han puesto en una situación difícil cuando te quitaron la visión. Te han dado amnesia selectiva.
To top it all off, my house was just raided by treasure hoarders. which is why I came here in the first place.
No, mano.
I was chasing after them when I got held up by these two.
Algo más loco. La comisión quería hacerse su jugarreta corrupta. El pueblo no lo dejó. Así que dijeron, ya mano, tú tienes una misión, vamos a quitártela para que te des amnesia selectiva. Con justa razón. Y weón, allí es donde nosotros nos quedamos con las provisiones y tendremos comida para siempre. Es que tanto ver las noticias.
If you don't believe me, go find the treasure hoarders yourself. If there were any emergency provisions to be had, they would have found them.
Huh. He seems to be telling the truth. But we better confirm. Let's go round up those treasure hoarders and see what they have to say.
Vale.
We should be able to follow their tracks. They couldn't have gone too far.
Están recontra lejos, estoy seguro de eso. A ver. Detengan los ladrones tesoros que robaron en la casa de Kurosawa. Están por allá lejos. Y menos mal que tengo un equipo de 5 estrellas. Porque literal, todas estas 3 unidades son prácticamente mis unidades 5 estrellas. Tiembla Dave Meltzer. A ver. Vamos a ir donde los ladrones. Tal vez ni siquiera me pidan pelear, sino esto, hablar con ellos de manera civilizada. Aunque, ¿saben qué? Yo no tengo ganas de eso. ¡Ah!
We really outdid ourselves this time.
Mierda.
All those samurai houses packed with goods. We really hit the jackpot. I mean, besides that one house.
La casa que
You
estaba
haven't
defendiendo
seen
Kurosawa.
anything yet. There'll be a lot more where this came from. Today's just the beginning. I'll be leading you all on an epic journey of pillage and plunder that will go down in hoarder history.
You demand, boss.
These seem like the treasure hoarders we're after. Let's teach them a lesson.
Ahora sí, aunque me hubiera gustado que fuera así de frente sin necesidad de una cinemática de que chingue tu madre, que se chingue tu padre y básicamente chingate tú.
You're open.
We're way behind schedule.
Vale. Este ya está muerto. Que se chingue tu padre, que se chingue tu madre y básicamente chingate tú. A ver, otra vez. Este está encima de la esto. No me gusta que estén encima. Esquivamos. Un poco más de lava,
You're open.
¿No se ha quedado el fuego dentro suyo? ¿Por qué? Bueno, la cosa. He fallado ahí de manera épica, no importa. Tengo todo fríamente calculado. GG.
Oh, there goes all the Mora. We worked hard to steal that, you know?
Y ni siquiera me he esforzado. No estaba ni siquiera a mi 100% cuando se los he quitado todo.
Come on, boss. Think of something.
Not bad, kid. You ever think of joining the treasure hoarders? We could use someone like you.
Antes de eso, cuéntanos todo lo que sabes sobre Kurosawa.
Kurosawa? Oh, I remember. So he's the one who sent you after us, huh? Just our luck. I knew he shouldn't have hit that place.
Hay 3 orbes que prácticamente están bugueadas atrás en el fondo. Y no puedo... O sea, me recuerda bastante a una escena del Rey León, pero también me recuerda a... no sé... Bueno, ya desaparecieron.
So what did you see inside? Was it stuffed with food supplies?
Food supplies? You kidding? That place was a complete mess. All we found was a strange-looking box, hopefully with valuables inside. I didn't want anyone else to see it, so I was planning on opening it myself once we got back. But now that you've caught us, how about we make a deal? That little box for our freedom.
Trato hecho.
What do you...
You've got a deal. Now show us what's in the box.
Huh? What the...
There's nothing in here but IOUs.
Yeah,
Pagares.
a lot of them too.
¿Qué mierda es un pagar para empezar?
And they all seem to be made out to the owner of a general goods store, a Miss Aoi.
Cheques.
We're talking tons of Mora here. We better talk to this Miss Aoi and get to the bottom of this.
Sí,
As
mejor.
for you guys, you're free to go. Just pray that our paths don't cross again.
Tengo un Diluc y no tengo miedo en usarlo.
Yes, of course.
So, we redeemed ourselves for some IOUs. Does that mean we broke even?
Shut it. Let's just
Huyan,
get out of here.
huyan. Huyan como las perras que son. Vale. Hablemos con Aoi, la dueña del bazar, para saber qué chucha sabe de Kurosawa. Vale, estamos en el distrito comercial, por lo que estamos cerca de donde debe estar la tiendita de Aoi. El problema es que... Ah, claro, ahí me dice que está arriba. Ok. Ya estaba por decirle que como no conozco muy bien la zona, no sé dónde están ubicados los puestos, comerciantes y todo. Creo que está en el piso más alto de esta montaña monolítica. Hay un templo ahí, excelente. Y llegamos a donde está la tiendita esa. Justamente es la de acá. Dueña del bazar, Tsukumomono.
Welcome to Tsukumomono Groceries. We've got everything you need. Can I help you find some? Or perhaps there's something you want to inquire about?
¿Qué sabes de estos pagares?
Ah, so you're friends of Kurosawa, I take it? Perhaps you're here to pay off his debts.
Kurosawa, ¿qué chucha has comprado que cuesta bastante?
Whoa! Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're just here to learn where they all came from.
Sí, estamos prácticamente tratando de resolver el tema de el caso Comunicore. Y ahí están los pagares de esa huevada.
How did Kurosawa end up owing you so much money? Did he buy anything super expensive here?
Let me think. Kurosawa would come regularly to purchase large quantities of foodstuffs. He'd always put the payment on his own account. However, the price of provisions began to skyrocket recently, and his salary was no longer enough to cover the cost. So, he started writing out IOUs to cover whatever he couldn't afford of the usual amount.
Le quitaron la visión para que no pague la pinche deuda. Weones. Esa es una táctica corrupta. 2000 IQ.
So that's how he was getting those emergency provisions. But why did he have to purchase a usual amount? If the prices increased, couldn't he just buy less?
La economía no funciona de esa manera, Paimon.
Well, if you think about it, the citizens receiving the emergency provisions must have been carefully calculating how much they needed to sustain them each time. Kurosawa thought that it would be quite the disappointment for them if they found they didn't have enough, especially after such long and careful planning. So he deemed it necessary to take on the debt rather than let the people down.
Wow. Kurosawa was purchasing all the emergency provisions at his own expense. And no one ever appreciated what he did. They just complained and held him accountable.
People's attitudes will always reflect their circumstances. In the face of hardship, nobody cares to think twice.
Muy cierto eso último.
If you ask me, had Kurosawa told everyone the truth about the supplies from the start, then there wouldn't be such a severe backlash now. Of course, I'm sure there would still have been some unrest. What he was doing was truly a thankless deed.
Sí, puso su trabajo en riesgo.
As for why he chose to spend his own money on emergency provisions and never tell anyone, I'm still not too clear myself. If you're still curious, why don't you go ask him yourself?
Desafortunadamente le quitaron la visión. Esos actos hizo durante la visión y ya no se acuerda de eso.
I see. That reminds me, it seems that his vision was recently confiscated. Most unfortunate. If he doesn't clear the debt on his name, he'll have no choice but to sell that sword that is so dear to him.
En la situación en la que está, no creo que la necesite.
Sword? What sword?
Oh, didn't he tell you? He possesses a very valuable blade. He's carried it for years now. I've asked him about its origins. He told me that it was a gift from his father, that it was too precious to sell.
F.
In hindsight, I regret that I never made an offer on it. Everything has its price, at least that's what I think. Why don't you ask him about the sword yourself? Perhaps it'll even provide you with the answers you're looking for. Oh, but before you go, if you would kindly settle today's bill.
But we didn't buy anything.
Vamos a hacerle un favor al pobre hombre y pagarle parte de la deuda, aunque el pana se lo merece en parte por pertenecer al equipo de los malos. I don't know.
Information is also a kind of commodity, wouldn't you agree? Don't worry, I won't charge much for information about Kurosawa. Nothing we ever discussed was explicitly confidential anyway. Oh, let me think. 2,000 mora should be a fair price.
Bueno, mientras no sean 10 millones de soles, está bien.
At least we now know where the emergency provisions are coming from. Plus, we found out that Kurosawa has a priceless sword in his possession. Let's go talk to Kurosawa again and see if he can remember anything.
Hay un molino de agua acá al costado. Excelente, me agradan esta clase de molinos. A ver, Kurosawa, tenemos que hablar contigo. Tienes una deuda pendiente con todo el estado, al parecer. Y tienes que pagarla, quieras o no.
What are you doing here all by yourself? Where did those other two go?
I presented them with a choice. Either they left or I drew my sword. They left. It turned out to be a real time saver, actually. Perhaps I should start using it more often. Did you manage to track down the treasure hoarders? Everything I said was true, right?
De hecho, la historia es totalmente diferente a lo que tú recuerdas. O bueno, lo que no recuerdas.
That just about sums it up. It turns out that you really were distributing emergency provisions, but they were all purchased at your own expense.
Strange. Is that really the kind of person I was?
Así parece.
I don't really have any such recollection. Even after all you've told me, I still don't remember anything. Why was I purchasing emergency provisions for everyone? And why would I put myself in such a difficult situation? I really don't understand. But I cannot deny that when I brandished my sword to scare those two away, I could sense that my body was somehow reluctant to do so.
¿De casualidad recuerdas quién te dio esa espada? Aunque sea, eso, tu relación con tu padre, fue antes de que tuvieras esa visión. Por favor, dime eso.
This sword was once wielded by my father.
Vale, entonces él recibió la visión justo después.
I remember once when I was young, I wanted to sneak out with the blade and show it off to the kids next door. My father ended up catching me in the act and scolded me severely. What did he say? I can't seem to remember that either.
O sea, tu padre te regañó y los tíos dijeron, no, weón, este pana va a morir porque su padre le va a dar una paliza. No te culpo, antes los padres hacían eso, te educaban a golpes nada más. Y eso no era nada sano para ti. Es tan no sano que los dioses tuvieron que darte una visión para que pudieras defenderte.
It would seem that I forgot many important things when my vision was taken from me. So many memories gone. Forever. All I can remember now is my father telling me that this blade bore his life's creed. Before he passed away, he placed the sword in my hands.
Vale, o sea de que lo que te ha dicho tu padre de seguro no era... O sea, lo que te dijo tu padre debe ser algo que olvidaste por la edad, nada más. No tiene nada que ver con la visión. Lo que sí tiene que ver con tu visión es los hechos recientes y también el tema de que tu padre te haya dado esa espada. Algo así, ¿no? Ya me estoy confundiendo yo mismo también.
And said to me, with this sword, you should...
Hey, if you look carefully, there seems to be some words engraved on the hilt. Can you recognize the words?
Virtud y justicia.
Virtue and justice? Somehow those two words seem to explain everything now. Taking on seemingly endless debts to make others happy. I guess that must have been my greatest ambition after all. But what use are virtue and justice? I purchased the provisions for those in need. And look how things ended up. The Tenryo Commission seized my vision. And the very people I was so desperately trying to help refused to understand me. And the irony of all of it is, I somehow still felt sorry when threatening them with my blade.
Justicia y virtud.
I'm incapable of being a good person, yet I'm equally unable to be bad. I don't know what to do with myself.
Dios, perder una visión literal te pone en una situación bastante cabrona. ¿Saben qué sería bueno? No entregar la visión en primer lugar.
Yet another troubled soul. When we get the chance, let's speak to Tomo about Kurosawa's debt. The Yashiro Commission would surely help cover his expenses. In any case, we must never let him sell off that sword.
Perder una visión no es poca cosa, no, weón, no. Te quita todo propósito de existir.
Yeah, seems like losing all ambition is a terrible experience.
Prefiero el término propósito, ¿ok? Ambición creo que es mucho más de soberbia.
Fortunately for us, you don't have a vision. Let's go find the next poor soul.
Ok. Siguiente en la lista era un samurái que quería ser el mejor del mundo. Así tipo CM Punk. Está aquí cerquita. Excelente. Creo que sí me da para acabar con los tres de una vez en un solo video. Título alternativo del video: Los tres ahorcados. ¿Por qué? Porque YOLO.
The third person who had their vision taken is supposed to be a famous sword master around these parts. Paimon heard that he's the present-day master of Meikyo Shisui art. Sounds pretty impressive. This is his dojo. Luckily, there's some people around. Let's go talk to them.
Nanako, don't worry. Sensei will be fine. Those thugs that challenged the dojo were strong, but he fought them all off in the end, didn't he?
He's dead, right?
Maybe, but I'm still worried about him. Things have gotten dangerous before in the past, but it's never shaken him. This time, though...
It's just because he's been possessed, that's all. Once the exorcism has taken place, he'll be right as rain in no time.
Tengo a Chunyu en mi equipo.
Hey there!
Podemos ayudar.
Did something happen?
Bueno, de hecho no está en mi equipo, pero está en la banca ahorita. Pero puedo ponerlo en el equipo titular. No tengo ningún problema.
Who are you?
Individuos.
I don't care whether you're trespassers or just here to harass us while Sensei is impaired. Get out of here immediately! Don't make me draw my blade, or you won't live to regret it.
Inténtalo.
No! You got it so wrong. We just came here to...
Estamos aquí para convertirnos en sus discípulos.
Disciples?
Sí.
Yep. We've heard all about the mighty master of Meikyo Shisui art. It's the whole reason we came all this way, to seek him out and ask him to train us. But then we got here and overheard you talking about how he got possessed or something?
From the way you're dressed, it doesn't look like you're from around here.
No, weón, hemos viajado desde tiempos, o sea, desde lugares muy lejanos para llegar acá. Así de importante es su maestro.
Please, accept my apologies. We've had so many people trying to cause us trouble recently that we're on high alert. You haven't arrived at the best of times, I'm afraid. Sensei got possessed recently, and he's still recovering. He's not able to take on any new disciples for the time being.
He movido tierra y mar para llegar hasta acá. No me iré de aquí hasta poder llamarle maestro.
I see you are earnest in your pursuit. Okay, how about this? My fellow disciple Nanako and I will explain Sensei's situation to you in a little more detail. Then you can decide whether to stay or to leave. Sensei's name is Domon, a name I'm sure you've already heard.
Bastante popular en Mondstadt.
Though self-taught, he mastered the art of the sword to a high level. He then proceeded to defeat many other prominent sword masters, never losing a single fight.
Como un samurái.
He once said that his goal was to become the best sword master in the world.
Así tipo CM Punk.
And so, even while training us, he continued to hone his own art. His fervor truly inspired us, and we trained hard, determined to keep up with him. But then...
Not long ago, Sensei had his vision taken away. He hasn't been the same since. He says the strangest things over and over, and he refuses to let us train.
Shit.
Junya and I have discussed it, and we both think that he's being possessed by an evil spirit. So, we've asked the shrine maidens from the Grand Narukami Shrine to perform an exorcism.
Ok, esta parte de la misión me está trayendo muy malos recuerdos. Igual voy a ir por ellos, porque
But if I'm honest,
tengo que enfrentarme a ellos de
I
una
still have
vez.
my doubts over whether he'll completely recover.
The Grand Narukami Shrine? What's that?
You haven't heard of it? It's the largest shrine on Narukami Island. The head shrine maiden is reputed to have very close ties with the almighty Shogun herself.
¿En serio?
Not that we'd have any means of involving the head shrine maiden, of course. But even one of the ordinary shrine maidens from the Grand Narukami Shrine would have clear power and authority to perform an exorcism. So don't worry, Nanako. Sensei is going to be just fine.
No tendría mucha fe en eso, pero la fe es lo más bonito de la vida.
The exorcism will take place this evening. You're both more than welcome to come and watch if you're interested.
So, losing your vision can cause possession? Guess we should come back this evening and see for ourselves.
Un camino lleno de sueños rotos. Espera que sea de noche para que empiece el exorcismo. ¿Cuánto tiempo voy grabando? No, creo que ya es suficiente. Bueno, tendré que dejar el episodio hasta acá porque primero lo que ha comentado estos huevones de acá me ha traído muy malos recuerdos de algo que he pasado en mi vida personal y la verdad es que preferiría no hablarlo aquí en público. Pero bueno, la cosa es que voy a dejar el video hasta acá. Espero que os haya gustado. Si es así, denle like, compártelo con un compañero o amigo que le guste Genshin Impact y también esté interesado en la visionología. Vaya nombre extraño de ciencia que me he creado. Y no se preocupen, en el siguiente ya vamos a acabar con los 3 ahorcados, solucionar sus problemas, quitarle las ataduras de sus cuellos y dejarle que ellos sigan libres y también nosotros estar libres para así poder seguir explorando esta zona. Así que bueno, hasta aquí Vampire, nos vemos en el siguiente video.